New York. What can I say except that I love it? Growing up in the South, I was shown a very specific version of this place on television and film. But to my great surprise, after living here for over a decade, I've discovered that there is so much more. My name is Allyshia, and I'm on a quest to show you a totally different side of New York and some hidden gems. So come on and get away with me, even if it's just for a day.
Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Getaway for a Day with Allyshia Renee. Today you have a different host. My name is Winter Wayne, and I am here at the 2017 New York Comic Con in New York City. Join me today as I talk to people who do stunts for some of your favorite shows like Gotham, Luke Cage, and we're also going to speak with people who have an urban action showcase that highlights people of color in many, many different types of genres of film. So come on, let's go and get away for a day with me, Winter Wayne. So can you tell me about some of these books? What is the Talented Kids about? I mean, it has two different covers, and then you have Strange Fruit. I love it.
Sure. So both are two different series, written and illustrated by Joel Christian Gill. Strange Fruit will be 3 volumes, and it's kind of 9 short stories about people in Black history, again, that you would never know about. So you have like the first professional basketball player who was also a classically trained violinist, the first Black world champion, and he was a cyclist. He traveled all over the world riding his bicycle. Bass Reeves, who's in the Talented 10th as well. He was the most successful lawman of the old Wild West. In fact, the rumor is that his life story was the basis for the Lone Ranger.
Are you kidding me?
No. So, yeah, it's an amazing story. Tons of stories. Volume 2 is coming out in February. Tales of the Talented 10th is based off of a quote by W.E.B. Du Bois, and basically it's about like the 10% of all African Americans will be extraordinary, important people in American history, or in history in general. Bessie Stringfield was known as the motorcycle queen of Miami by the time she died. She was the first Black woman to ride her motorcycle around the country. She did it 8 times, and in like the 30s and 40s when that was not a safe and okay thing to do. She married like 6 times. She was in the army. She was in carnivals. She's outrun the KKK and throughout all of her travels. She's in the Motorcycle Hall of Fame, the Harley Hall of Fame. They have awards named after her. She's just, it's okay to say this, badass lady.
You've done all of that?
Yeah.
I don't think there's any other word.
I know. She's someone I wish I could hang out with just to hear the stories. No regrets. We started doing this about 8 years ago, and we just think it's important to tell these stories because how else are we ever going to know? And more importantly, these are like ordinary people who've done extraordinary things, so it's very inspirational. And the reading level is for like 4th grade, so like kids, can read them and be inspired to, do whatever they need to do to, survive, and more importantly, make their mark in American history.
Individuals. If you don't know who they are, you're not up on your comics. I'm here with Luke Cage and Misty Knight. Guys, thank you so much for representing for people of color in comics. So what made you guys decide to dress up? Are you guys a couple? Or? I'm sorry.
No,
well, we go out for coffee every now and then.
Coffee,
New York coffee.
but we wouldn't label it. You know what I mean? Now we're good friends. We're good friends. We're proud to be representing some of the few Black, African American superheroes out there. There's not a lot of us, so look, we're taking this opportunity right now to represent.
But you know what? Believe it, there's more than I thought. I Southside Black superheroes, and when I saw you guys, I came running over. And you, Miss Lady, can you please just do a twirl, little twirl?
Swirl, Misty.
Everybody can wear that outfit. So what made you get into comics? Because I'm big in it. You know, you don't see a lot of us. What made you get into it?
Well, to be honest with you, the best part about growing up as a geek, we were able on Saturday mornings to connect with a slew of different comic book characters, my favorite being Marvel's X-Men, and I love Storm. For me, it was the first time I was able to see somebody personify my experience on TV every Saturday, every morning, so it was really exciting for me growing up, and that's how I got into it. And I used to go to Midtown Comics growing up, try my best to, you know, hold it down and not spend all of my weekly allowance.
Yes.
But yeah, it was just growing up, and I feel like Page Nerd, you can check them out on Instagram, The Party Nerds, and I'm Bunny My Debut. You can check me out at Girls Can't Eat. We definitely like to travel with our cosplay, and kind of just serve as an example. We try to make sure that the kids coming up can be able to feel a little better than we did growing up, and just, you know, connect.
Yeah, we actually do. We have a urban podcast too, the Party Nerds podcast. We have Bunny on all the time. You know, we're multicultural. You know, it's not just one color. We're diverse, and we look at things from a very diverse perspective. And I think that's what's needed today. With all the stuff going on in the world, we need unity. You know, it's not about exclusion. Yeah, there you go.
But you know what? This character, I did Storm last year. I'm a big Marvel and DC comic fan. So this is Winter Wayne, Storm, and Batman's offspring.
Wow,
Fusion!
Look at you.
Winter
She's
Wayne.
getting creative.
Well, we're in New York. We have to make a melting pot.
Exactly. Guys, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you. And maybe we can all get together and go to the Black Panther.
Ooh, we gotta go to
Come
Wakanda.
on,
Party it up. What do you think, Takala?
He coming in like a thug. He's like, what?
Maybe we can all get together and go to his premiere next year.
That might be
Premiere,
fun.
yo, let's do that.
I'm serious.
Yo, you gonna represent?
Premiere?
Yes.
Okay.
Wonderful.
I'll come as a state, the real state.
That's right.
We're gonna rock it out.
All right, guys, thank you. So we're gonna move on to the next thing.
Well, me and my friend George, you can say we're childhood friends. We've known each other for over 18 years. We work together, and we decided to come to, you know what? Let's start our own business. And then I said, you know what? You start it, and I'll help you out, whatever you need. So I've been there with him since the beginning.
Okay, great. So, can you show me a couple of the dresses?
Right here. No problem. Right here,
Oh my
like the
God.
female dress. We have the Loki from the Thor movie Ragnarok.
That's cute.
Now, this is for villains. Now, if you have a problem being a villain, that's not a problem. Bam, you can be a hero too.
Oh my God,
this is
that
Thor,
is so
and the dress is
What size is that?
reversible.
Okay, but it'll be fit.
Oh yes, yes,
girl.
girl.
It'll fit on me.
Work. It was a good idea. Not many of people of color out there to have our own business. It's mainly barbershops or hair salons. So let's expand that. So that's what we decided to do, and it's so popular now. Before, back in the days, it wasn't cool to be a geek, but now it's everybody.
It's our time.
It's our time. It's our time, and that's what's down.
So, do you have any? Are you gonna have Black Panther stuff?
Yes, I do have Black Panther T-shirt.
No, you don't.
Come on, girl.
No, you
Right
don't.
here. Come on, girl. We got the black. Come on, man. And you know the movie's coming out.
Yes.
And you know, and that's yours. And you know the movie's coming out. So
Do you have Storm?
Storm? No, I don't have Storm. I'm sorry. I don't have Storm from the X-Men. But Black Panther is coming out next year. Guys, you gotta go support our artists. We're trying to work on getting Stan Lee. It's very hard, but we're working on no guarantees.
No guarantees.
No guarantees, but we're working on it.
And what about local artists? That
Yes.
do you sell their things at the
Yes,
store
we
in
do.
the
We
Bronx?
have them come in, and we also have people from PBS. We had the artist that created Cookie Monster, and his wife. She came in. She's also works for PBS. They came in. They did a little signing and drawings at the store,
So-
especially a free comic book day. Our artists are always there.
So if I'm a kid in the Bronx and I want to come to your store, what would you tell me about getting into comics? Tell this to your 10-year-old self. What would you say?
I tell everybody, reading. You have to read. So if you have that favorite superhero that you grew up with, Superman, Batman, whatever, man, read the comic books. It's always entertaining. It's coming back. It was an 80s thing, now it dropped off, now it's back and it's popular than ever. Especially look at the movies. Everything you see, movies. Every big superstar, every black superstar that you see, movies. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Denzel being a superhero in a movie. It's what's going on.
This is going now.
Yes, it is.
Okay, well, thank you so much for speaking. You said this.
Yes, I should.
Some of y'all might be a little too young, but this was the ultimate game and I could never beat it. So today I'm gonna try to beat this game. Come on, I got it. Spider! Come on, got you now. Oh, but I did good. Have you ever gone somewhere to an event, you had a costume and then something breaks? Well, I just found out at Comic-Con they actually have a cosplay
Repair card.
like
So cool. So I'm a makeup artist and this is a costume expert.
Yeah, I'm a costume technician.
Yeah, so if you have a loose zipper or a faulty eyeliner or anything, we're here. We can help and repair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have every kind of glue
Any type of
imaginable,
glue.
safety pins. We have different kinds of makeup, hair
Lipsticks,
products.
we have some paints for your face. A lot of people have whiskers and stuff like that. We're here to touch it up.
Yeah, if it breaks, we fix it.
Yes.
So wait a minute. How do you do something like this? Did Sci-Fi contact you or do you just volunteer through Comic-Con?
No, we were contacted through a production company that works with sci-fi, so they hired us on based on our specialities.
Yeah. And then there's two carts all around in this fan lounge.
charging stations. They're giving out shirts and stuff, and then I think there might be another one walking around like the halls and stuff. But if you need a break, you need to charge, you need a reload, just come up here and you're done. Yeah.
That is really great. Oh, that helps so much.
How's that?
Oh, much better.
See, and then that's why we're here.
Brush the wipe off there.
I'm just gonna pull
I
back.
can see. I can see.
Okay. How was that?
Oh my God.
Looks good.
You can on the other side
Oh,
real quick.
I mean, like that really helped because I can see now. Thank you, lady.
Thank you.
I'm going up there.
All right, now let's go. Now that I can see, we're gonna go and catch some more of Comic Con. Okay, guys. So I want to introduce you to Demetrius Angelo, founder and executive producer of the Urban Action Showcase. I've been a couple of times. It is amazing. You get to see so many martial arts films from people of color, and you're pretty good in martial arts yourself. So tell us about Urban Action Showcase.
Well, the Urban Action Showcase and Expo celebrates diversity and the multicultural achievements in the blockbuster action genre. Why? Because we need heroic reflections that reflect multicultural image and interest. We believe that everyone should see a heroic reflection of themselves, regardless of the color. So, being that the action genre is the blockbuster genre, right? It's the genre that makes all the money. It's a genre that costs the most money to make. It's very important that we have positive representation of people of color. So we're trying to basically combat the stereotype. The platform itself encompasses the Urban Action Showcase International Action Film Festival, where we include both shorts, features, new media, web series, action scenes, but it's anything to do with the action genre. So that means action, adventure, fantasy, sci-fi, supernatural, as well as martial arts. But the important thing is that we are really focused on diversity. And that means we want to be included. We ain't trying to take over, but we want to be represented well, and we want to be included. The second aspect is the Urban Action Expo, where we give the opportunities for independent filmmakers, independent content creators, whether you're a comic book artist or an animator, or if you're a casting director or a talent agency, anything to do with the action genre, we give you the opportunity to basically market to our audience. The final aspect is the awards aspect. We have the International Action Film Festival Awards at HBO, and then we have the Diversity in Action Awards at AMC Theaters Times Square. The Diversity in Action Awards are specifically to pay tribute to the genre as a whole and to honor our guests. And this year, we're paying tribute to the 20th anniversary of Spawn, which is the first African American action comic book hero on the big screen. 1997, 20 years ago.
Really?
Yes.
It's been 20 years?
Yes, it's been 20 years. So, but what's sad, and the reason why we're needed, and the reason why it's so important to have a platform like the Urban Action Showcase, is that the only other heroic comic book image on the big screen will be Blade in 1998. I think 2000 something you had Catwoman when they used Halle Berry. And then you had Steel with Shaq. But it wasn't, it's not a big, it wasn't like a new line or anything like that.
She was an X-Men.
Right. So you had, of course, Halle and X-Men, but she wasn't the main character.
Right.
I'm talking about when you have the main character on the
Meteor
screen.
Man. I had to, Demetrius, I had to. Because I wanted to talk about that too. Like, what do you think about, I know he's a comic and he's supposed to be a hero, but to play devil's advocate, shouldn't there be more?
Did he save the day?
I don't remember.
If you ain't saving the day, you ain't a hero. Heroes save the day.
They save the day.
Yes, they do. That's the purpose of heroes.
Okay.
So, jumping over Media Man. After Spawn, you have Blade.
Right.
Then you have Steel. Then you have Catwoman with Halle Berry.
Right.
But you don't get another one until next year.
That's true.
Black Panther 2018. So like I said, if you wait for Hollywood, you will not be seen.
You'll just be waiting.
Every 2 decades. So our purpose is to give independent filmmakers a platform to present heroic, positive image in the action genre.
Okay, guys, I know I'm a little excited. I'm here with Sebastian.
Hey guys.
Hi, and
Hi.
how are you? You wrote Niobe?
Niobe, yeah.
And he's the publisher of Vampire Hunter D. Y'all don't know how much I love this. I watched this on the train. Okay, let me compose myself. Okay, so tell us about Niobe.
So Niobe is kind of the Luke Skywalker of my world.
Okay.
So she's the Messiah of my world. And Niobe I got the honor of writing with Amanda Stenberg, who played Rue in the Hunger Games,
Yes.
most known for. And Ashley A. Woods out of Southside Chicago did the art. This is Hyung who did the cover, but Niobe became the first ever nationally distributed comic book with a black female author, artist, and hero in the history of comics. And it's kind of like a Beauty and the Beast love story, threaded with murder and mystery that leads to all-out war. There's the hand of the devil that's always after her, but that's the goddess of healing and light protecting her. Heaven protecting our Messiah from the devil.
That is beautiful.
Pretty, right?
That's very pretty.
You know, origin story is in another book I wrote called The Untamed,
Okay.
which is painted by the guy who paints covers for Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. We spent 10 years painting that book. And I also worked with Daryl May, and Sheldon Mitchell is doing, out of Jamaica, is doing the Niobe She's Death series.
What made you focus on a young woman of color? Was it the actress that made you want to do this, or was it just something you felt was needed?
Well, I've spent 30 years creating the world, so Niobe's been in my heart and soul for about 30 years. So I grew up in a very small white village in England, and I wanted to create, I'm mixed, so I wanted to create a very kind of globally inclusive world, and Niobe to be a reflection of that world. And I wanted to create a character too that could essentially bind the nations together. And I started off as a teenager, which is a lot to ask of anyone. So this teenager is a case of obligation versus adventure. And I'm kind of putting the weight of our world on her shoulders. So it's a lot to ask of Niobe.
Right.
And we start with Niobe She's Life, right? Faith. And then we follow up soon with Niobe She's Death, when Niobe becomes a badass bounty hunter hunting down sex traffickers, human traffickers, and slave traders to reflect our own brown girls that get abducted. And then I'll have Niobe She's Spirit, and then we'll have Niobe She's God. Definitely bug your local retailer and let them know about Niobe, but you can order it from us personally at strangercomics.com, or follow us at Stranger Comics and you will find all our goodies.
Okay, great. I really want this for my nieces. Now, before we
Thank
end, tell me how you became the publisher. What made you want to?
It's because we got the rights to Vampire Hunter D. It's because of my book, The Untamed. The publisher, the owner of the film rights, loved our Untamed graphic novel so much that he trusted us with the rights to publish Vampire Hunter D.
I love it.
And that artist right there, Hyung, did this cover right here.
I think I met him last year.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
I'm so glad I met you. I appreciate
Thank you.
I appreciate this.
Thank you very much.
Seriously.
Hopefully your next cosplay, anyone that cosplays Niobe, we hook them up.
I missed it.
And now, for your viewing pleasure, a snippet from the short animated graphic film, The Untamed.
The hand that paints the face that laughs borrows sorrow from my past. Fools in red have lain to bed. Her smile, my name, our whisper. I'm going home.
It's an ugly world out there. Where are you heading, stranger?
A town of oasis.
A frequent stop.
Is it far?
As far as everywhere else. You going back for anyone in particular?
I don't remember.
You will. How long were you given?
"7 days. I can feel the bite of each and every grain of sand fighting beneath my feet. But their touch is as unfamiliar as a promise given to a woman I could not forget. As much as I've tried. Try with a dying tree, cursed watchman between two worlds. Here, their sacred tree is lord and master, defiant against the sundrake. It's a special moment when you bleed a man. A bond is formed, just you and him. To break his body, to gut his joy. But what of his spirit? When you look into his eyes, you'll know. In those last moments, the last breath, will let you know. But the heart is a deceiver for the mind. A girl once told me.